Now, who couldn't see this coming? You know the old story, Germany wanted its gold back from the United States. It had like 300 or 400 tons. And we replied by saying, we'll give you 50 tons a year. You'll see all your gold in the year 2020. And the very first year we were supposed to give them 83 tons. And they got a whopping 5 tons back. Headline: Germany gives up on trying to repatriate its gold. We'll leave it in the Fed's, quote, safe hands. Several months after it was revealed that Germany was able to only recover a miserable 5 tons of its gold in all of 2013, which was under 10% of the 84 tons it was scheduled to repatriate, Germany appears to have given up entirely in its attempts to recover gold which simply is not there. And as Michael Krager reports, citing Bloomberg, they have decided to keep it. By it, we don't mean the gold, since clearly they don't have the gold, but they have paper promises of the gold. But they have decided to keep it at the Fed after all. That is to say, in the safe hands, as they say, of former Goldmanite Bill Dudley. And via Mike Krager's Liberty Blitzkrieg blog, just last week I published a post titled Video of the Day, and the Fed rallies are exploding throughout Germany, which subsequently went viral. Interestingly, only a few days later, we find out that Germany's very own criminal political class has decided it will continue to store the nation's gold, Germany, their gold, in the New York Fed, rather than bring it back home, as had been the intention. It's quite ironic that just as protests against the fascist Federal Reserve System are spreading throughout the land, the political class officially decides to keep Germany's treasure across the Atlantic in care of none other than the Fed itself. To be fair, this merely seems like a way for Angela Merkel and the rest of her German cronies to save face. After all, it was very clear that the Federal Reserve had already told them, no, you can't have your gold back, when they asked for the gold back in the first place, simply by giving them 5 tons back when 84 tons was due. Why else would it take almost a decade, right? Remember that? See, in 2020, 7 years technically, not a decade. Why else would it take a decade to transport the gold from the U.S. to Germany, which was the latest repatriation schedule? We learned from Bloomberg that Germany has decided to keep its gold safe in American hands, surging mistrust of the euro. During Europe's debt crisis, fed a campaign to bring Germany's entire $141 billion gold reserve home from New York and London. Now, after politics shifted in Chancellor Angela Merkel's coalition, the government has concluded that stashing half of its bullion abroad is actually prudent after all. We should just leave it that way. The Americans are taking good care of our gold. If you only knew. Norbert Barthel, the budget spokesman for Merkel's Christian Democratic bloc in Parliament, said in an interview, objectively, there's absolutely no reason for mistrust. Actually, if you said that before we tried to send you the first batch of gold we owed you, and then only sent you a measly 5 tons when we owed you 84 tons, if you had made that comment before that took place, you could at least say that, and no one could argue, because there would be nothing that had happened for anyone to really argue with you about. Say, well, maybe he's right, maybe it is safe. You can't prove that it's not safe. They said they have the gold, it's here, no one can prove it's not here, nothing has ever happened, so we have to assume it's here. You could argue that. But when we tried to make good on the promise in the first place, and only gave them 5 tons back out of 84, and then said we have to reschedule it and figure out a new repayment of your gold schedule, let's give us a few months, several months, a lot of months. And now a lot of months later, Germany changes its mind, and this moron, objectively, there's absolutely no reason for mistrust. Objectively, there's a hell of a lot of reason for mistrust. You only got 5 tons back. And you didn't even get the first payment of 84 tons. It's 5. Here's 5. I know I owe you, I know I owe you $84. It's like I owe you $84,000. Here's $5 or 5,000. Just hold that little repayment for me. How about some late fees and urgently get me my gold back? Nah, matter of fact, we want you to change your mind, and we're gonna do the old Jedi mind trick. See if that'll make you change your mind. You don't want your gold back. It's safe in the Fed's hands. Get our spokesperson out. Objectively, there's absolutely no reason for mistrust. We're gonna leave it there. Yeah, but didn't they take... There's no reason for mistrust. Yeah, but I thought that they only gave you... Cameras off. Go to commercial break. So, there's a little more to that article, but, I mean, do I need to go there? Do I need to continue reading that? I mean, I think I've said all I need to say in that article. Spoke volumes. So, is it any surprise? This goes to show you how dangerously close the powers that be are in regards to the amount of gold and silver that they have on hand. Because what this also proves is what I've been saying, and a lot of other people too, over the years. They've never had the gold that they claim they have. They only have had a paper promise, a piece of paper, a warehouse receipt, etc. that says, yes, this gold is there. How many countries have asked us, can we at least see our, can we take a look at our gold? Nope. You're not allowed even over here to see any of it. But we do have it, and it's safe. Could you imagine storing the most valuable asset the world has ever seen, as far back as we have human writing in history, etc., of any kind of society, so to speak, right? Gold and silver. There's never been a greater asset ever than gold and silver. Who's texting me? So now all of a sudden this gold and silver, this gold, technically it wasn't silver, but it's gold that Germany had. You're gonna, any country, Germany's not the only one, as you know. They're not the only one storing their gold with the US. Isn't it strange that one of those things that we sell, or whatever you want to call it, I don't really know if I should say sell, on the commodities market is gold and silver, but you can play that game with pieces of paper. You don't even have to own the gold. The gold doesn't even have to exist. They just have to tell you it exists. That's it. They have to tell you, yeah, we sold you this contract today. Basically, you bought it. In other words, you bought some gold on paper, on margin as well. And you only have to give us 10% of the money of what this contract's worth. So it's already leveraged 10 to 1. And you get to play the game for that 10 to 1. So you get to play, if that gold or silver moves up and you got a contract, it goes up massively in your pocket, cash in your pocket, not gold or silver, because it's leveraged 10 to 1. However, the amount of paper that they have out there that everyone's playing this game on, for each piece of paper, there's supposed to be physical gold backing it for that exact amount of what that contract's worth. But bankers being bankers throughout history, this has never ever changed. They always take something and try to spread it out multiple times with that one original first time, or that one real asset. They did this way back in the day when people used to lug around their gold and silver coins with them. They got the bright idea, let's create these banks, and in the bank you can actually store your gold and silver, and we will give you a certificate of storage in return that says so-and-so owns such and such amount of silver or gold, and gold, whatever, both, and it is on store with our bank, etc. Which means they can take this now signed and stamped piece of paper, kind of like a receipt, and go anywhere throughout the land of England and say, I need to take out 5 coins of gold today and, you know, 7 silver ounces or whatever type of currency it was back then, whatever they called it. And they would take that little receipt. Yes, you do, sir. They would take the receipt, you know, chalk it off. Okay, he's taking out 5 gold and 7 silver coins. Here's your new receipt, sir, and your gold in your hand, so you can go do your daily buying, whatever you need to do. Have a nice day. He can then go to some other part of the country and do the same thing. It's just like today, where you can use your little debit card, or even if you didn't have that and you used a check. Remember the days of really everybody using checks all the time? You go to one place, you write a check, they cash it, now your bank account says you have a little bit less in your bank account. You can go somewhere else, write a check, etc. And what did the bankers do back then? Hundreds of years ago, what did they do back then? They always got a fee for allowing this to take place, right? I mean, they're not working for free. They're not going to store your gold and silver for free. They got to make money. So initially, they would charge a little fee. And then they realized, so many people are storing their gold and silver with us, they never ever come and get it in bulk, like I'm taking it out. They come in and do their daily activities. So someone may be fairly wealthy, and we've noticed that all of these fairly wealthy people almost never take out their money in full. They always just do their little day-to-day activities. Because they do that, we can just lend out, so to speak, because they have to give loans to other people too, these banks. So they give out loans, but they were giving out the other people's money behind their backs at interest, making more money for themselves, because they thought they're the more wiser, and that the people whose money they were lending out, the gold and silver they were lending out, is never gonna even know they were doing this, because they don't come and get their gold and silver anyways. They only get a little bit here and there, so they can keep a little bit in the reserve, so to speak, to deal with those people coming in daily, doing their little daily activities and purchases, and the bulk of their money will just lend it out. And something happened. Bad times fell on the, economy. Oh, well, I haven't heard that before. And people got nervous and just flat out needed their money because of the bad conditions. So I've got my piece of paper that says I've got X amount of gold in your banking system. I need it. And as usual, like a bank run, only the first few people actually get it. So tons of people didn't get their gold, etc. So now we fast forward to today. The same thing with our banking system, even though we're talking about paper money for a second right now. Same thing happens. We put all of our money, put all of our money into the banks, and then they lend it out to people. They lend out 90% of all the deposits. Pretty much every bank, 90% of all the deposits get lent out. Yeah, but we have FDIC insurance. Okay, FDIC insurance is only good for whatever amounts in there, and usually there's around $50 billion in the DIF fund to secure or insure all of our money. There's like $5 or $6 trillion of people's money in the banking system. There's $50 billion towards that FDIC insurance. Oh, thanks. If that fails and that gets eaten up quickly, by law, the FDIC can go to the Treasury, U.S. Treasury, and get $500 billion on credit or on loan. Can borrow $500 billion to put the fires out, right, so to speak. Once again, $500 billion to backstop $5 or $6 trillion. Pretty large shortfall there, isn't there? And like any insurance company, even though a bank say, oh, as long as you got $250,000 left, your money's secure. We've got FDIC insurance. But I challenge you to ask a bank, what happens if there's a massive bank run in America and this insurance company known as the DIF or FDIC with their DIF fund is eaten up? It goes away because too many people have, too many banks failed. I would actually like to hear a bank's response on that. And I would be willing to bet you right now that right away, they're not even going to have an answer. They're not even going to know what the hell you're talking about. They won't even have an answer. And we'll have to say, I don't know. I'll have to get with my manager Oh, I thought you were the manager. Oh, yeah, actually, I am the manager of this branch, but I've got to get with corporate management. Oh, okay. There's no difference. Can an insurance company go bankrupt? Yes, they can. If there's a massive outbreak of hurricanes and tornadoes or whatever, and they came through Florida and some other states and just wreaked havoc, you would bankrupt the insurance industry. Anyone that was, had customers in those states as an insurance company, you'd be bankrupt because you could not come up with the money to fix every one of those houses. You would go file for Chapter 11 or whatever, you're done, have a nice day. Which would then make you, as a person who's been paying this fee, who was forced to pay the fee in the first place because you couldn't get a mortgage without insurance. Kind of like you can't drive a car without insurance. So you were forced to pay this every year, whatever your insurance was per year, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, there's no telling. Every year, and keep feeding it, keep feeding it, keep feeding it. 15 years into feeding this thing, never had a claim ever. 15 years times $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. You got a nice little nest egg built up in the insurance fund, so to speak. But that's not how that works, because insurance companies have massive shareholders, and they have very high paid, high-end employees and regular employees, and they have some of the employees that have cars, and they've got all these perks and whatnot. So that money you thought you were kind of stalking away, so to speak, through the insurance company, with them taking a little bit of money out for their profit, no, they were taking a whole lot of money out for profit. So that's it. Now things are even worse. So now there's very, 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 very little money left to pay for all this damage. File bankruptcy. You lose, you get nothing, your house does not get repaired, which would be interesting, because what if you had a mortgage on your house, which most people do, and this happened, catastrophic event, insurance companies go bankrupt, and we have massive amounts of houses sitting there with mortgage payments who still want their money. Hey, give us our money every month. Oh, wait a minute, I can't even get the house repaired because my insurance company just went bankrupt. Which means what? Which means I'm not paying a mortgage anymore because I have nothing left to pay it on. And no, that's not going to happen. Legally speaking, this is how awesome this is. Legally speaking, you are still responsible to pay that mortgage on a house that's nothing left but a piece of concrete slab. That's how that would work. Personally, I think the government would do another bailout of the insurance industry to do this in a case like this. So the question arises, would they also do it if there was a massive bank run in the $500 billion window that the FDIC can use to give people their money back on a bunch of failed banks? You would almost think that the government would do another bailout, considering it's the banks again who needed the money in the first place, like in 2008, 2009, and we would just create an enormous amount more debt to deal with this, thus putting a knife in our back even more as far as debt goes. But the bottom line is, back to the gold for a minute, we don't have their gold. We've gone through it rapidly. The sheer fact that we could only give them back 5 tons last year means we are absolutely in desperation mode in this country to keep this fake commodities market going, where the paper price sets the real price of gold and silver every day, and allegedly, I mean, there's days when I remember where the entire silver production planet-wide for a year, entire silver production was traded via paper in one day, usually within an hour or two. That much volume of paper trading back and forth took place, where the entire world's production of silver was allegedly traded, yet not one single ounce of real physical silver was actually moved anywhere. It was all paper trading hands back and forth. But because it's on the commodities market, you can what they call demand delivery. Well, you're levered 10 to 1, sir. So that means you got to give us the other 9 to 1, or the full 100% of the contract amount in order to get your silver or gold. Well, some people have that money and say, I'd like to have it. Give me the goods. Very, very, very few people do that. However, it appears that even though there's that few little people who do demand delivery, it is enough to strain the limited supplies that we've had in the first place, because we've burned through all of the country's gold out there that have been storing it with us for alleged safekeeping. We don't have it. We've already used it to keep this little fake market going. So we cannot allow these countries, especially our friends who have our banker class politicians running their Federal Reserve systems over there, or central bank. They don't really have a Federal Reserve, but they also have a central bank. And they do the club's bidding. And the club says, cancel that order of asking for your gold back. You got it. Today we're canceling the repatriation of our gold. We don't need it. We feel it's safe. Yeah, but I thought that they only gave you 5 back last year out of 84 that was due. Isn't that cause for concern? Not at all. Not at all. We trust the Federal Reserve. Yeah, but you just said trust again. It seems like there's mistrust when you only get 5 back of something you're supposed to get 84 back on, and it was late. On top of this, you can't argue and say, right? That's when you know this person's doing a politician's bidding. That's what they're all, politicians. They take their orders from the bankers, and the bankers said, stop with the gold. We need it desperately. I'm really starting to wonder about this July. It's next month. I don't know what time next month. Sometime next month. The old Indian astrologer guy and the gold thing, you know. It'll be very interesting to see. All I know is I just had this, I mentioned I had to spend $1,745 IRS taxes I owed because I missed something in 2012. Just had to pay $500 getting the wife's van fixed. Had a valve cover gasket leaking and needed to have an alternator put on, new serpentine belt, new tensioner pulley. I can do that stuff myself. Some of it just gets to a point sometimes when it's too difficult or whatever. I just don't want to do it, and I'm not going to do it. So take it to a reputable, auto repair shop. So the bottom line is, I want this freaking silver. It's time to buy right now, but we're going to end up putting it on a credit card like I do from time to time, and then pay the credit card off. So right as I'm telling my wife this, mail comes in to my wife. Oh, 0% APR for purchases and balance transfers, which we don't need a balance transfer. We don't have any debt, so we do need a purchase. 0% until sometime in 2015. Oh, fantastic. I can get my final amount of silver to do my ultimate goal. Have my ultimate goal of silver that I never ever thought I would reach. And now I'm going to reach it. And we'll just pay back the credit card at 0% interest, so we can get some silver here shortly. So we're waiting for the next few days for the silver to come, or the card to come in, so I can then use it immediately and buy my final round of silver, if you will. So this is a sign of desperation. Our country's in trouble. Other countries are in trouble. If you have your gold with America, you are in deep trouble, and you just don't know it yet, maybe. We've used your gold. It's gone. And now we're not going to be able to keep the price suppressed for too much longer, because when people start, the few people who continue to demand delivery every month put such a strain on the market to come up with the real thing, only to be told there's delays, there's more delays, there's more delays. In other words, we don't have it. People are going to say, wait a minute, you have X amount of paper contracts out there to the tune of billions of dollars. For each of those contracts, you have to have the gold here. And you're telling me there's a delay on this little few of us that have asked for gold? Oh my God, right? It'll finally start breaking out. Start to finally creep into the mainstream media, hopefully. It's hard to deny something when it's there every day. Right now they can deny it, even though it's pretty much in your face. But it'll get to a point when the rest of the world starts hearing it, feeling it, seeing it too, and realize, oh my God, I don't like this. And people are going to want to start going and buying a gold and silver. Can't get their hands on it. Oh my God, why can't I get it if the price is so low right now? This doesn't make sense. Well, the price is set in America on their paper market. I don't want to play paper, I want real silver. So then people are going to say, well, that mechanism that sets the price, the COMEX, that's the one that allegedly you could buy silver through them. So if you buy even a mini contract of silver, that's 1,000 ounces. you should be able to also secure that. 1,000 times $20 today or whatever, 21, that's $21,000. So there should be somebody out there who could easily do that and will do that, only to find delay there also. It's just a big delay, a little warehousing problem. We got plenty of it, just a little warehousing problem. That turns into a bigger delay, until people start realizing this isn't a delay thing. This is the fact that you don't have gold and silver. Yet you're setting the price every day. You're allowing these contracts to be traded every day. And I've demanded delivery on my own contract, and you're telling me I can't have it. What'll happen? They'll end up doing a forced paper dollar settlement. Any contracts that are out here right now will be closed effective immediately or effective tomorrow morning at whatever the market price is, and you will get cash back. You will get cash back, or you can request the amount of money back that you put in on this contract, basically to get refunded the contract. So you give the contract back, we give you the money back that you put in on the contract. If your contract has done well, of course, we'll give you give us the contract and we give you the amount back plus the profit, etc., that this contract was worth. Most of the time, you're not going to have them do that. They're going to simply say, it's a massive sell order right now, today's market price, we're buying them all back. You get it papered settled, money settled, cash settlement. And that's it. You can't ask for gold. We don't care if you ask for gold or silver. You're getting your cash back. That's how we're settling. When you hit, because people talk about the COMEX defaulting, the COMEX is going to default. I don't think the COMEX will default. I think they'll do exactly what I just said. Paper settlement, boom, effective immediately. We just change the rules. Have a nice day. No need to default at that point. Paper settlement, that's what they prefer anyways. They want everyone to paper settle. They don't want to be giving you the gold and silver in the first place. They just have to pretend it's there, so they have to allow that to continue, and now they're struggling to put these fires out of people who keep asking for their gold and silver, through the COMEX even. When that happens, I believe the rest of the world's going to say, okay, well, we don't trust you guys setting the price of gold and silver anymore. You won't even let anyone get the gold and silver. Now you want us to just play the paper game? We have the gold and silver over here, and we don't think the price you guys say your market says it's worth today, that's where it needs to be. We have an exchange in Singapore, we've got one in Hong Kong, right? We're going to now set the price. Piss off. And then what happens to the price of gold and silver? I don't know, but I don't want to be without it. I can tell you that much. Take care.